Hi, welcome back. It's Janelle from Infinite Potential Healing, and today we're going to talk about going with the flow and being in the flow state. So obviously, to be in the flow state, to go with the flow, you want to be as present moment focused as you possibly can be. So that means you are not worried about the future or, ruminating in the past and lugging all of that past stuff that we talked about processing the other day behind you. It means that you are right here, right now, and experiencing life and hopefully enjoying life as it happens and as it unfolds. It takes practice to be in the flow state. It's not super easy because our egos really like to get us wrapped up and anxious about the future. They like to keep us on the hamster wheel of our minds. They like to, our egos like to, have us revisit the past and stir up lots of emotional drama and trauma without any space to process it. So, we do have to work, and again, we'll talk about in the future how we kind of get our ego to calm its tits a little bit. But to focus on flow state, I have found for myself, one of the best ways to stay there is through meditation. It's apparently going to be the theme for a little while, so we might as well lean into it. But also, the happier we are, the more joy that we're experiencing, the more positive experiences that we are allowing ourselves in our life, the easier it is to be in flow state, because our purpose on this planet right here, right now, the reason we even exist is to be in joy. We are meant to enjoy our lives. So joy typically breeds joy. The more we allow ourselves to be in joy, the more joy we experience, the easier it is to be in flow state. I had not been in flow state for a hot minute because of some things that I've had going on in my own life, outside of my meditation practice, which is still very, very regular. And I had the opportunity a little while back to travel. And when you're traveling, obviously you're removed from your own environment, you're experiencing new and different things. Hopefully you're a little bit more relaxed. Much easier to get to flow state in those moments. And I had some heavy things hanging over my head and some heavy things that were hanging on my heart that I was carrying, and I was really trying not to focus on, but they were there, they were knocking. I was trying not to answer, but they were there nonetheless. One of the things that I had been concerned about is that my mom, who I am guardian for, had fallen back in January. And when she did, she had a bunch of scans done, of course, because they had to make sure that she hadn't broken anything. And when she had those scans done, they came upon an incidental finding of an aortic aneurysm in her stomach. Please, I don't need any medical advice. She's a very good medical team. We're getting her taken care of. So we don't have to worry about that. You don't have to drop me a bunch of comments about the state of her health or anything. I'm on it, I promise. I have lots of good people and lots of support in my life in those areas. But obviously, when you hear that your mom's got an aortic aneurysm and then subsequent testing shows that, it's of a size that surgery is recommended, and she has not had positive reactions to anesthesia in the past, all of this is something that you're going to be kind of kicking around in your head a little bit. So as I was on my trip, one of my favorite things to do, because I have 3 planets in Leo, is to just lay in the sun and bake like the cat that I truly am. I could spend hours, days, just laying in the sun, like being one with the sun, letting the sun warm me. Yes, I wear a very good sunscreen and I'm very well protected when I do that. So again, don't come for me in the comments. But that's where I find a lot of my joy, a lot of my peace. That's what recharges me. That's what helps me reconnect. One of my absolute favorite things to do. So we had an entire day where I basically didn't have anything to do except my favorite thing, which is to lay in the sun. And at one point, my son and I went and we got an ice cream treat, and I had strawberry ice cream with sprinkles on it. I know it sounds so silly and so juvenile, but strawberry ice cream is one of my favorites. Sprinkles are just something that I think always makes me happy, and it just brought me joy in that moment. And I have a friend who we always used to go and split a strawberry ice cream with sprinkles from a particular ice cream place after we would have dinner. And I, thought of this friend in this moment. And I ended up sending him a message and just saying, hey, reminiscing, fondly remembering, our strawberry ice cream with sprinkles moments. And, just kind of reconnected with him through that text. Because as life tends to do, we don't always talk as often as we used to. And it was just, nice to kind of shoot him a message and, make that reconnection, catch up, and all that good stuff. So that happened on the second to last day of my trip. And the day after we got home, I was still kind of in that flowy flow state, present moment, focused energy. And I was doing some meal prepping in my kitchen, and all of a sudden it hit me that this same friend that I had just messaged happened to work in a cath lab at a hospital as a nurse. And I felt so silly that I hadn't made the connection and I hadn't remembered that prior to that moment. But I reached back out to him and I shot him a text and I asked him if he still worked there, and he did, and he has for 7 years. And then I was able to call him and have a conversation with him about all of those concerns, about this incidental finding that my mom had had with this aortic aneurysm, what the potential outcomes were going to be when we spoke to the vascular surgeon, kind of the pros and cons of all of the different possibilities that could be presented in that appointment. And that allowed me to relax into, heading into a relatively serious medical appointment that I definitely had some anxiety and some concern about. And it allowed me to put that out of my mind, focus on the other things that I needed to do, and it prepared me to be able to go into that appointment really forearmed, with some medical knowledge about what was going on, so that I could have the most productive conversation with the doctor that we were seeing that was possible. And then when I did go into that appointment, it went pretty much exactly how my friend had said that it was going to. And, when we came out of that appointment, I sent him a message and said, hey, yep, this is what happened. And, we have a very solid plan A and a solid plan B in terms of treatment and moving forward with this, pesky incidental finding of this aortic aneurysm. And that's the beauty of flow state, is that when you can surrender, when you can relax, when you can be in joy, when you can release these things to the universe reminds you that you have support in places that you may not have remembered that you had support. And it allows you to make those connections. And those connections and that support are really what it's all about. You're not meant to do any of this alone. You are always meant to be connected, even if that connection is just to your spiritual support team or to other like-minded individuals. So challenge yourself. See where you can lean into joy. See where you can stay present moment focused. See what you can release and surrender. We're not talking about stuffing anything down, shelving anything, or burying it, but just kind of letting it go and seeing how it unfolds, and lean into that energy of ease, because joy and ease go hand in hand in building in that flow state energy and helping you go with the flow.